Today's talk focuses on Daimler, VW, GM, Cummins et al. Battery issues relative to the transition to electric that's being led by Tesla. We also look at, there's a firm called Blair that the suggestion was made that Tesla should avoid or not think about the LBC, the drama in the LBC from Snoop Dogg, because, as you know, Hawthorne, California is in Long Beach County, is in the Long Beach County area, I believe, and therefore the drama coming from Elon Musk in this space shouldn't be worried about, which resulted in a 25-point increase in the stock price. So these are the primary issues we'll cover. A final issue we cover today is color change efforts made by Tesla. And I am again shooting from my favorite spots, and we'll try to get through our show before mega trains come through and interrupt us. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time on our channel, please take time to like and subscribe. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. Also, please note your like and comments definitely impact our site, and we'd appreciate them. And if you could watch 10 seconds of the ads we put in, it definitely helps support the channel as well. So there's a ongoing nightmare mystery that we cover periodically relative to some of the big firms trying to figure out how to deal with Tesla. Today's sort of focus is the fact that, as we know, Daimler a week ago introduced their newest SUV. It's going to have a range of somewhere between 200 and 300 miles. And it was interesting because different folks who visit with us weekly have been saying, well, isn't it supposed to have 280 miles? Isn't it supposed to have 200 miles? The reality is, guess what? Even Daimler doesn't know how many miles it's going to have. And the reason is that right now, there's battery configurations that they're experimenting with. The folks at Samsung and other firms, in the case of Daimler, they have a Korean partner that I believe is KD. The problem that everybody is having is, number one, which battery should they choose? Why is that a big deal? There's something called packs, which is you have a lithium-ion battery, and it's the cheapest iteration of the battery because you basically have a pouch and you put the lithium-ion battery in, and it's the cheapest iteration because it minimizes the use of metal, i.e. aluminum or other metal, to address the battery needs. The great thing about the pouch is that it's inexpensive. The bad thing about the pouch is these are fairly large blocks of lithium ion, and when you try to charge them, you can't supercharge them because they don't manage heat very well. So you run into the problem of potentially frying the battery if you try to supercharge them. So therefore, the solution to this then is to switch over and work on an 18650 battery similar to the version that Tesla is doing. This is a great idea, but the challenge is that the packs in this area are in the $40,000 per and rising. And so now you have a rising price of cobalt. So the nice thing then is you can simply produce and lose money on 5, 10, 20,000 of these vehicles, losing $10,000 to $20,000 per vehicle in the process, and everything is fine. The problem, so bottom line is that everyone is trying to figure out right now which version of the battery should they align with and then order large amounts of it. This is a nightmare because as this technology shifts, how do buyers deal with the technology shift? And also, how do the manufacturers deal with? So the slowness of response, and then, finally the issue that pops up is, where do you get scale inventory? Meaning you got 50 to 100,000 vehicles to produce at a start, and your goal is 1 million vehicles 3 years from now. As we all know, it's taken Tesla now I guess 3.5 years to get 200,000 vehicles a year worth of production done. It'll take them another year to add another 150,000 in production. And if Tesla's using best practices, in theory, it's going to take competitors a similar amount of time to layer in the battery solution they have. So what I'm fascinated by is the I-Pace, the Jaguar, all of these entities have now announced that they're going to be delivering batteries and delivering vehicles at scale in 1 or 2 years. The question then becomes, okay guys, what are you going to use for the thermal management unit? Which version of the batteries are you going to use? And can you get them at scale? Now, it's interesting because Daimler has said that their batteries will be superchargeable. So in theory, they followed Tesla into the realm of the more expensive battery pack with aluminum shells that can be cooled readily on an individual basis. And I think that's a smart move. The then question is, are they going to try to do the 2170 battery by replicating what's in the Model 3? Or will they simply stay with the 18650 battery, which is more ubiquitous, but and it's been reverse engineered so that those that are producing it can produce it at scale? The nightmare is, if you produce at scale the old battery, you can compete with Tesla of 5 years ago, but you can't compete with Tesla of now. And so it's a very interesting question, and I can see how and why we see the response that all the major brands have had to Tesla. So the answer that I'm seeing is similar to how Daimler has been producing trucks. What they've been doing is producing 500 units of small to medium range truck class 6 and tech class 7, sending them out to longtime customers to be used, and then trying to evaluate, how they're performing. The feedback loop that we've gotten from the folks at Daimler, at least, is that in case of the truck products, the batteries are being beat to death and are useless after 3 years, nothing to be sold because you have to have a whole new battery and you might as well replace the whole truck by then. So it's a very interesting problem how large competitors for Tesla, who have very large dollars to spend, don't have any place to spend the money because there's evolving technology with a solution. The solutions that are readily being available really do not work in the next version of cars. And so therefore Tesla's advantage remains despite the best efforts of a lot of folks. This will change, but I think we're 2 or 3 years away from there being a dramatic shift. And this also brings up an interesting question, which is, how does one of these firms announce Daimler's new vehicle is going to crush Tesla or impact its sales when that vehicle is 2 years away and Tesla's Daimler Mercedes has not secured sufficient battery supplies to have that solution work out? So all this said, it's this continues to be a nightmare of what battery to use, where to get it, how to deal with Tesla's competitive economies of scale, how to deal with the fact that cobalt prices are rising and the iterations that these folks can get are actually fairly expensive. So these cars really end up being loss leaders. And because of Tesla's success, you potentially have them, taking losses on large numbers of vehicles to generate a footprint in the marketplace. So the big question for me whenever I see new cars coming out is, hey, which battery are you using? Can it be supercharged? And are you supercharging a battery that'll turn into dust in 3 years versus have the 10 or 15 year longevity that Tesla's enjoying on their battery products? So all these questions and more will be answered by competitors. The answer that I'm coming up with is, in the case of GM and the folks at Fiat and other firms, they're simply producing the vehicles at a loss and hoping to keep the loss count low enough so it's not a big deal, and then they can systematically get consumers used to buying electric cars from them, but they don't jeopardize their future in the process. The second thing we cover today is the drama in the LBC. In the case of Tesla, Hawthorne, California is right near a place called Long Beach, California. And Snoop Dogg has a song where he points out that with so much drama in the LBC, it's kind of hard being Elon Musk B. So there's a lot of drama that we're hearing. This analyst has pointed out that the advantage Tesla has, like batteries, makes all the noise you hear coming out basically irrelevant. So there's no need to worry because Tesla's producing a lot of vehicles. They're getting their production lines up in line with production runs. They're going to make cash production necessary to cover debt and other things not a big deal. In general, I would agree with this assessment. You know, the one bit of news that came out this week that puts somewhat of an unknown on everything that's occurring is the fact that there's actually stockpiles of dual motor vehicles that are rear wheel drive only. And there are a lot of customers right now that are really interested in the dual motor configuration, or the dual motor performance configuration has a longer waiting list. And so those choosing to get the least costly new model are having shortened delivery times to 2 or 4 days from 2 to 4 months. And the performance version or others is still seeing extended versions. My hope is that they get enough buyers for the shorter or the single motor vehicles that they can meet their production or sales goals without too much drama. But I'd say it's a temporary issue because there's plenty of demand out there, and they can simply expand the destinations to which they're shipping, including Europe and other places. I think those cars disappear fairly quickly. The next thing that I'd like to cover today is the paint color change. Remember, we talked about the whole idea of cost of goods sold and good fundamentals when it comes to managing your business. Well, Tesla has announced that they're going to be getting rid of a couple of different colors to improve the line efficiency going through the paint area. It turns out if you have too many colors, it makes it difficult to make the switches and get good throughput through paint. So now you have cars stacking up waiting for certain colors when you could be producing a lot of other colors. So I think for a while we may end up seeing fewer. We're going to be down by 2 colors. I think it's a smart move to get better throughput, and I think it's great to see the company dealing with reality rather than trying to wrestle reality for other solutions in the short term. So in general, I think the company's on track for great numbers. When we announced in the first week of October, there are definitely some issues popping up. The one other item that pops to mind that has come out today actually is that Tesla's opened 9 company-owned facilities not too far from surface centers or next to them that allow them to now providing body work when necessary to try to get rid of some of the backlog that's occurred. I believe that this is a great idea. The challenge that pops up though is that the brand new vehicles that are going to generate the most revenue get all the parts they need. The vehicles that have been damaged that need parts are getting behind all these other vehicles. So I think it's a good idea for these new facilities. Like there's one in Owings Mills, Maryland. And so I just wanted to note that I think it's great that they're expanding into these areas, etc. I wanted to say enough respect to my friend Donovan, and thank you for all the comments you're sharing here. I definitely appreciate your being part of the channel and joining us on our live feed here. The last thing I wanted to cover today is I keep adding some health recommendations. Check out the 5-2 diet, 5 days on, 2 days of fasting to help generate better metabolism. I'm about to do my 20 leg lifts on each leg to help out in terms of strengthening quad muscles. Also, please note, you want to eat within 4 hours before going to bed is best, minimum 2 hours to prevent acid reflux and potentially cancer in the upper respiratory. I would agree, Roger, that everybody's gambling on what next generation is, and because Tesla is buying so many of their own batteries, they're becoming the de facto standard, and I think it's going to cause a lot of people to have to go that route. The last item I wanted to talk to today is I had a chance to meet a rheumatologist this week. We had a chat about gout, and I was really surprised to learn that when we get up into our 50s, 60s, 70s, one of the problems is things like red meat, things like shellfish, alcohol, can all generate acid that we don't urine out. And as it collects in the body, that's how people get swelling from gout, from this acid being collected. So for those of you who are in the gout zone, they're suggesting fish oil once a day, making sure you get some exercise and keep your weight in control, but also low to no alcohol consumption prevents gout because you're not collecting acids that stay within the body that can't be expunged as you might have done in younger days. I'm at my favorite spot, and we usually get jammed by the trains here. And I wanted to, if you have any questions, feel free to fire. I wanted to sort of rise up and give you a look at our surroundings. We have severe flooding that's going on right now, and it's sort of changing the environment. We're at a place called Anacostia Park, so if you want to look it up on Google Maps, I think you might find it interesting. I'm a water fanatic, as we all know, and it's kind of nice to see the setting here with the stream in motion. Yes, thank you for your comment regarding the price of a Tesla battery. Yes, exactly. Roger, I agree with you. The Tesla cost of their batteries, because they're manufacturing their own, are great. They're also going to have flexibility to do versions of batteries within their own factory that might be specialized for customers in different situations. So not only is there a cost advantage, but they have the advantage of you manufacture yourself, you have more flexibility. I love Ja, and I always miss it. I just had my Jamaican food today. You saw the restaurant. I had my escovitch fish along with some chicken soup and a dumpling. So yes, we do miss Ja. Thank you for the comments, Donovan. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Look forward to catching up with you in a couple of days. Any questions or comments are appreciated. It definitely affects what we cover as an organization and our direction. Have a great day. Tschüss, macht's gut, au revoir, lehitraot, choda hafez, and walk good. In Jamaica we say walk good, enough respect, man.